this is Gina. Happy New Year to you. I hope 2022 is fabulous for you. And this is what we're going to make today. We're going to make, I'm going to call it Easy Elegance. This is a very simple design, but it is so pretty. Look how pretty that turns out. I used a fold over clasp because I got a bunch of those in and I wanted to play with them. So I basically made this design and another one for my Gina's Gem Creation channel with this clasp in mind. I wanted to make something pretty to use with them because they're so pretty. So that's what that is. These are 12 by 4 Bicone crystals. I do have 8 by 4 also I've been using recently, but these are longer than them and they make a much more elegant, slender look. So I recommend that you do use these. However, if you have some of the 8 by 4 and you want to try it, go ahead. It should work fine. It will just be shorter, so you'll have to adjust your length. Also, I used a 3 by 2 crystal here. You can, or a 3 by 2.5. You can also use a 3 by 2. You can use a 3 by 4, and you can use a 4mm Bicone crystal here. So you're not stuck. If there's a color that you don't like or you can't find a color you like in one size, you can get it in another. It should work just fine on there. And this is the one I made with the same basic units for the Gina's Gem Creations channel. And it's really, really, really pretty. I was going to try to put it on. Let's see if I can get it on without too much hassle here. And I may just have to put it on and come back because I don't want you to watch me try to do this. Oh, here we go. These fold over clasps are pretty easy, so that's what that looks like. And this is called checkerboard, what did I call it? Checkerboard bracelet, yeah. And it does not translate well on video or on pictures. It is really a pretty bracelet when you get it in person. And the units and the way that it moves and functions, it just seems like it's actually a metal bracelet. It just feels like a metal bracelet. It's really great. I really like it. So check that one out if you'd like to. It's a little bit higher skill level. It takes a little bit more time, but either one are just absolutely gorgeous. We're going to make this one, so let's go ahead and look and see what it takes to make this bracelet today. Real quick, here's what they look like off the wrist. I guess I should have shown you that. Anyway, that's what they look like. Let's go ahead and look at what it takes to make them. Okay, for this project today, we will be using some 12 by 4 elongated Bicone crystals. Now I have these on my website if you don't have any, so you can pick some up. These are longer than the ones I've been using. If you picked up some 8 by 4s, these are 12 by 4. So they are longer. You can probably, if you have some 8 by 4s and you want to use them, you can probably modify this bracelet to work just fine with those also. But these make a bigger presence. You'll have to modify the length of your bracelet if you use the others. And these are in a lot of really pretty colors. So I really like these long ones. They're really nice. So you can get some if you'd like. I'll put a link below so that you can get some. But that's what we're using. And I'm using peach. I think it's imitation jade peach color. And then I will be using some, this is a 3 by 2.5 Rondelle, and it is Golden Shadow. And then I'll be using some 8-0, 11-0, and 15-0 seed beads. They're all Toho. These are galvanized starlight, galvanized permanent finish starlight, sorry. That wouldn't come out. And then this is galvanized permanent finish bronze. So my 11-0 is bronze, 8-0, and 15-0 are galvanized permanent finish starlight. And then I'm going to be using a fold over clasp. And I'm going to use this one in gold. And I have several different styles of clasps if you want to try it. If you do not want to try one of these, then just use a toggle or a lobster claw or whatever you would like. You just sew it on exactly the same way. These little fold over clasps, you just open them like this. And I'll take one side off right now just so that I can sew it onto my project. And then you just can sew the other side. And of course they just clasp like this. You just put it back in there. All right, get your fingers to work. Put it back in there and then just clasp like that. Come here. There we go. And squeeze it shut. Just like that. So that's what I'm going to be using, but like I said, you can use whatever clasping you would like. I'm going to be using Nanofil, and this is 10 pound. You can use 8 pound. Also, I'm using a size 12 beading needle, and I will put onto my needle to start a full wingspan. That's when you put your arms out to your sides like you're going to fly away. Measure from your fingertips the length of your first arm, across your chest, the length of the second arm, and to your fingertips. That's a wingspan. You will need to tie on or extend your Nanofil or Fireline for this project, so I will post a link in the description box for a video that will show you how to do that. You can also use Fireline if I did not say so. You'll want to stay with a small Fireline, a 4 pound or a 6 pound, because Fireline is bigger in diameter than Nanofil, and you want a small thread for this. So let's go ahead and thread our needles and get started. Okay. To start this project, we are going to pick up one of our bicones, the elongated bicone, and then pick up an 11/0 and an 8/0, and I will show you, I know you can't see me, and an 11/0, and then another bicone, and then an 11/0, 8/0, and 11/0, just like this. So you've got a bicone, 11/0, 8/0, 11/0, bicone, 11/0, 8/0, 11/0, and then you're going to bring this down to the end of your thread. You don't have to leave a long tail, but you need to leave enough to tie a knot. So bring this all the way down, and then from your tail side, go through the first bicone you put on. So we're just going through from the tail side, and we're just going to pull our needle through. Pull the thread through, hang on to your tail while you do this, and then you should come up with a little rectangular shape like this. We're going to sew all the way around again to where our tail is so that we can tie a little knot and stabilize this unit. So we're coming out of the bicone right here. We're going to go into these 3 seed beads right here. And we are going to pull the thread through. Then go through the bicone here. And then go into the 8/0 and 11/0, 11/0, 8/0, 11/0 here, and pull through. And then you're going to take your tail and your working thread, and you're just going to tie one simple overhand knot. So just make a loop, go through it with your tail, and pull it down. Just like that. And this is what you should have. Now we're coming out where our knot is. We want to get back into the actual units. So we're going to go down into this crystal here. We're going to pick up a 15/0 seed bead onto our needle, and we're going to go into the 11/0 here. I'll get you a little closer. Go into this 11/0 and 8/0 and exit the 8/0 seed bead, just like this, and pull through. Now we're going to put a little right angle weave unit here. So what we're going to do is we're going to pick up 3 8/0 seed beads. Each right angle weave unit will have 4 beads. We're going to share this bead, so we'll need 3. We're coming out of this side of the 8/0. We're going to go into the opposite side, and just the 8/0. Ignore the 11/0s on either side and pull through. Now you have a right angle weave unit. We need to sew back through it to secure it. So I'm coming out of this 8/0. I'm going to go into the one right next to it here, and I'm going to do 1 bead at a time, pull my thread through, tighten it, go into the next bead. And I just hold on to it between my thumb and my finger. My thread is tangled. Hang on a second. My thread, I hold it between my thumb and my finger so I can pull my thread through, maintain my tension, and straighten out my unit. Now it's going to get kind of messed up while we do this, but as we finish it, it will straighten back out. Go into the next bead, hold on to it, pull your thread through. and then go back into the bead we started in and the 11-0 next to it, just like this, and pull your thread through. Then grab a 15-0 seed bead and go into the crystal, just the crystal like this, and pull through. Pick up a 15-0 seed bead, go into the 11-0 and the 8-0 and exit the 8-0 right here. Move that tail out of the way. And that's what you should have so far. We're going to cut this tail down just a little bit. We can burn it down the rest of the way, but I'm just going to cut it down enough so if it slips a little, there's still a little thread there. And then I can take care of it later. Here, I'm going to put on my clasping. We're doing it in this order because it's difficult to get back into the 8-0s once you put your 15-0s on. So I'm going to grab my clasp, and I am going to take one end off. Now, sometimes with my fingernails, and when these are brand new, it's hard for me to open, so I just stick my chain nose pliers in there and just separate them a little bit and open it, like this. You can just open it with your fingers too, but my fingernails kind of get in the way. Then we are going to pick up an 11-0 seed bead. Go ahead and close this so you know which side is up. And you can tell because it's domed. And you want to sew it on the proper way. So pick up an 11-0 and then an 8-0 seed bead. Drop it down to your unit. And then sew up through the loop on the clasping. And just arrange it so it's the right way, just like that. And then go back into, let's get just a tiny bit closer, go back into the 8-0 and just the 8-0. Pick up the piece, hold on to the 8-0, and pull your needle through. Guide your thread all the way down, guide your clasp down to the 8-0, like this. And this is what you should have. Now we need to put another 11-0 on and go into the opposite side of this 8-0 to anchor that side. So pick up an 11-0 onto your needle and go into just the 8-0 seed bead right here, like this, and pull your thread through. Pop it down. Make sure it's arranged nicely. And then we'll sew back through it. It seems that I have one 11-0 that's a little bigger than the other. That's not supposed to happen with Japanese seed beads, but sometimes it does. So what I'm doing is I'm going back into the 11-0 and the 8-0 and into my clasp. And then I'm going to go back down into the 8-0, the 11-0 on this side now, just like this, and hold on to it and guide my thread through. Now I'll go back into the 8-0 on my unit, and just the 8-0. Do that one more time, securing the clasping. Okay, so I've secured all the way around again, and I'm coming out of this 11-0 after securing the entire thing. I'm going to go back into the 8-0, and I'm going to go into the 11-0 seed bead right next to it, just like this. And I'm going to pull my needle through. I'm going to ignore that tail, and I'm going to pick up a 15-0 seed bead, and I'm going to go into the crystal here. And you can come out the 15-0 on the other side if you would like. And pull that down into place. Now we'll go into the 11-0 here and the 8-0, just the 11-0 and 8-0, like this. Pull through. And kind of straighten out that unit because sometimes it gets a little crumbly. We're going to put a little embellishment on top of this unit, and then we'll make our next one. So we're coming out of this 8-0 that's attached to our previous unit. We're going to go down into this one right here. and just this one. Pull your thread through. Pick up a 15-0 seed bead. Pick up a 3x2 crystal and a 15-0 seed bead, just like this. Go straight across into the bead opposite this one and go into the same side. So we're coming out here, we're going to go into this side, right here. Now I'm just going to hold on to my piece with my thumb and my finger. Whoops, and I didn't hold on tight enough. And that's why you want to hold on. And I've got a little knot. So let me take care of this. There we go. It's just a slip knot. If it's a slip knot, all you have to do is just pull and it will usually come right out. So what we've done is we've come from this 8-0 to this 8-0. I'm leaving in that mistake so you can see how I corrected it. And I'm just going to pull this down, just gently, and pull it over the top of the little unit of right angle weave. Now, I'm coming out of this side of the 8-0 here. I'm going to pick up a 15-0 seed bead, and I'm going to go back into the crystal, right here. Now, hold on to it with your thumb and your finger and guide your thread through and give a little tug. And then I'm going to turn it sideways. I'm now coming out of the crystal. I need to anchor to the first bead we started in, on the opposite side from which we started. So I started on that side. I'm going to pick up a 15-0, and I'm going to go into this side of the 8-0 seed bead, right here. You can see. And then I'm going to pull my thread through, hold on to it and give it a little tug. Make sure everything looks nice and neat, has good tension, and then go up into this 8-0 seed bead right here. Pull your thread through. And then we're going to make our next unit like this one. So we're going to pick up an 11-0. We've already got our 8-0, so we'll pick up an 11-0. Then we'll pick up a crystal. Then we'll pick up 11-0, 8-0, 11-0, like this. And then we'll pick up a crystal and an 11-0. Boy, I'm just really graceful. So this is what you have: 11-0, bicone, 11-0, 8-0, 11-0, bicone, and 11-0. Then you're coming out of this side of the 8-0. You're going to go into the opposite side. And you're just going to pull this through. And bring it down, just like this. I'm going to change my position a little here. And I'm going to go into this 11-0 seed bead right here. As I go through it, I will pull everything up into shape, regain my tension, hold on to that tension like this, make sure it stays, and then pick up a 15-0 seed bead, go into the crystal, and just the crystal. Hold on to everything, pull this 15-0 down into place. You'll feel it pop down between the beads, and that's going to hold your shape now. Pick up a 15-0 and go into the 11-0 and exit the 8-0 right here. Pull your thread through. Now we're going to make our next connection unit. So we're going to pick up 3 of our 8-0 seed beads. The 4th is already on the unit. We're coming out of this side. We're going to go into the opposite side of just the 8-0, ignoring the 11-0s on either side, and pull this down. Just like this. Now, sew back through it one at a time to maintain the shape. So I'll go through the first one, give a little tug. I'll go through the second one. I'll hold on to it. You get less distortion if you hold on to it as you pull your thread through. You'll still get some, but a lot less, and you can maintain your tension. Then we're going to go into the next one. I'm going to hold on to it, guide my thread through, give a little tug, and then go into the bead that I've connected to. And actually I'm going to go into the 11-0 also, simply because Sometimes it's easier. This position may not be. There we go. So I'm going into the 8/0 and the 11/0 now that I've secured this unit. Now I'm going to pick up a 15/0 seed bead, and I'm going to go into the crystal right here and tug it down until I feel it pop into place. Then I'm going to pick up a 15/0 seed bead on my needle again, and I'm going to go into all three of these beads right here. So the 11/0, the 8/0, and the 11/0, and I'm going to go through all three of them. Now, you can either go through the 15/0 to travel back down, or you can bypass it. But because you could possibly see some thread, I just go through it. And then I'm going to go all the way down the crystal, then I'll go through this 15/0, the 11/0, and the 8/0 and exit. And now I can put my crystal embellishment on this unit here. So I want to come into this side arm of the unit here. Right there. Then make sure you have good tension on your thread and pick up a 15/0 and a crystal and a 15/0, just like this. Then we're going to go straight across into the opposite bead on the same side we're coming out of this bead. So straight into here. I'm going to hold on to it, guide my thread down, and then I'm going to push that crystal on top until I get it arranged halfway decent. Don't pull too hard or you'll pull your little unit of right angle weave out of whack. Now we're going to pick up a 15/0 seed bead, and we're going to go back through the crystal right here. I'm in a strange position to stay in camera here, so it's going to take me a second. Okay, I'm just going to turn it. There we go. And I'm going to go back into my crystal. Just like this. I'm going to hold on to my crystal, and I'm going to pull my needle through. Pop it down and arrange it a little bit, and then pick up another 15/0 and go back into the opposite side of the bead that I started in. So right here. And now I can arrange it. Pull it, get a little tension on it, make sure it looks good, and then go up into this bead right here. Come along, needle. There we go. And that's what that looks like so far. And we're just going to continue doing the same thing. We'll do one more unit together, and then we will go to length, and then I will show you how to put on the other end of the clasping. So let's pick up an 11/0 seed bead, and then we will pick up a bicone, and then we will pick up an 11/0, an 8/0, an 11/0, and a bicone, and then an 11/0. And this is what you should have, just like this. Bring it down. Let me back off just a little now. Bring it down. And go back into the 8/0 that you're connecting to on the opposite side from which your needle came out of, or your thread is coming out. Just like this. Now, go into this 11/0 right here. Come here, thread. Pull your thread through, pick up a 15/0, and go into just the crystal. Hold on to it. This is where you're going to get your form here. So pop it down nice and tight, give it a little tug, and then pick up a 15/0. Go into the 11/0 and the 8/0 and exit the 8/0 right here. pull that 15-0 into place, pick up 3/8 seed beads, and make a right angle weave unit here. Sew back through the right angle weave unit, one bead at a time, holding on to your unit so you can give a little tug as you come through. And then down to this side, and then back up into the 8/0 and go into the 11/0 behind it, just like this. And pull through. And pick up a 15/0 seed bead and go into the crystal. Pick up another 15/0 seed bead and go through all three of these top beads. Pull that thread through, give a nice little tug, and then we're going to sew back down to the bottom. So I'm going to go through this 15/0 because I'm coming out of the 11/0. I'll go down through the crystal. I got the 15/0 too, so I'm going to go through it. And watch your thread. Then go down into an 11/0 and 8/0 here and exit the 8/0. Straighten out your right angle weave unit. Go into the side arm of the right angle weave unit right here. Pick up a 15/0, pick up a Rondelle crystal and a 15/0. Go into the opposite bead on the same side that you're coming out of the bead you're coming out of, right there. And let's just pull this until we get real close and push it over the top and bring it down the rest of the way. Pick up a 15/0. I'm going to turn my piece and go back into just the crystal right here. Come on. There we go. I'm going to put my thumb over it and pull this 15/0 down. Give it a little tiny tug. And now I'm coming out of the crystal. I will pick up a 15/0 seed bead. Get you in real close. Pick up a 15/0. Go into the opposite side of the bead we started in. Right here. Pull this down. Tighten it up. Make sure it looks good. And go into your 8/0. Now see, this 15/0 is stuck. So that's the kind of thing you want to check for before you start your next unit, because it'll stay like that if you don't correct it now. So make sure they all look good. They won't lay perfectly. They'll kind of be sideways and stuff, but you don't want any thread or anything wrapped around anything. And then pull like that. And then start your next unit. If you need to, go ahead and back up the video and watch the first couple until you get into a routine, and go ahead and continue making units until you have 8 units. Now that is if you want to make a little over a 7-inch bracelet. This is from the tip here to here, 7 inches exactly. So when I put my clasping on, I'm going to get another 1/2 inch or more. So if you want a shorter bracelet, of course, you will just make 7 units. If you want a longer bracelet, then make 8 units. Now, or 9 units, excuse me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yes, I'm coming out of my 8th unit. I've only made it halfway. So let me show you where I'm at here. So I put on my beads. I came through and put in my 15/0, came through the crystal, put in my 15/0, and now I'm at the point where I would make my right angle weave to make a connection for my next unit. However, I'm not going to do that because I want to now put on my clasping. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the other half of my clasp. You can take this round part off if you want and put it back on, but because both sides open, but I'm just going to lay it out like this so I know it's the way I want it to be. And then I'm going to pick up an 11-0 seed bead and an 8-0 seed bead, and I am going to drop it down to my unit. I'm going to go through my clasp. Let's get over a little bit more centered here. Go through my clasp. And then I am going to go back into the 8-0 right here. So I'm going to pick this up, hold on to my 8-0. And then I'm going to pick up an 11-0, just like this. And I'm going to go into the opposite side of the 8-0 I'm coming out of. Let me lay it out. Now, just like I showed you on the other side, sew back through this 2 more times, and then we'll be back. Okay, so I have put my clasping on, I've sewn through it and secured it, and now I need to put my 15 O's on this side of the unit, because as I made this unit, I only came up on this side, and then just like we would do for the other units, instead of putting a right angle weave here, we put on the clasp. So now we need to go down into this 11-0. And as a side note, I did not have to extend my Fireline, and I didn't use quite a full wingspan, so you should be fine. Pick up a 15-0 seed bead and go into the crystal. Pick up another 15-0 seed bead and slide through all 3 of these seed beads on the top here. It's like this. And now I'm going to go ahead and go down into the 15-0 and the crystal here, the 15-0 and the crystal and the 8-0, and I'm going to exit the 8-0. Now I am going to go underneath this 8-0, like right between the 8-0 and the 11-0. I'm going to guide my thread to stay between those two. See if I can keep it off my clasp here. And just create a little loop as I slide this down, go through the loop, and I want to make sure I keep this between the beads here. Right there. And guide that down and tie a knot. And then I will go into this 11-0 and 15-0 here, come back down into this crystal here, and I'll go into this 11-0, and right between this 8-0 and 11-0 I'm going to tie another knot. Now you can do this any way you want. I'm just grabbing thread bridges between the beads, and I'm just making sure I guide my thread as carefully as I can so that it'll end up on the thread in between the beads and not on top of my beads, just like that. And then I'm going to sew through again. I'm going to turn this over. I've got a right angle weave unit here. I can just sew all the way around this unit and really entwine my thread in there. Just go through all 4 of them. And right here between these 2 beads, I can try to grab that thread bridge, go underneath it. My thread is getting very short. Let me get a little more here. And a loop, go through it. And then through this bead here. And I will just cut off my thread after I sew through. I think I'll sew through this one and this one, just for good measure. Then I'll grab my scissors, maybe, there they are. I'll leave a little bit of a tag of thread there, and I'm just going to get the heat close and melt it in. Then I have this little tag here still from my tail thread when I started my project, and I'll do the same thing. Just get the heat close, don't light the thread on fire, it'll just curl in really nicely. And let me see what I've got here. And this is what I've got. Really cute. So all I have to do is, I'm going to open this end and then slide it on. See if I can do this by myself here. Yeah, these fold overs are pretty easy. And then I'm just going to slide it on, snap it down. That's what my clasping looks like. And this is what my bracelet looks like. And I'll measure it. I think it's about a 7.5, maybe 7 3/4 inch bracelet. It has some movement on my wrist. It's really pretty. I really like it. It turned out really nice. As simple as it is, just simple elegance. Now I did make one for my other channel also with these basic units, except for I put an embellishment on the top of it, like this. So if you want to check that out, that'll be on my Gina's Gem Creations channel, and I'll go ahead and put this on so you can see what it looks like too. It's the same basic units, it's just a little bit more detailed, and this, it doesn't even translate well on video, and it doesn't translate well to take a picture of. But in person, it is so pretty, and it feels just really nice. It feels like a bracelet that was put together, you know, like with metal, not just sewn together. It's really, really, really nice. So there's this one, and it's called checkered, what did I call it? Checkerboard bracelet. And this one I think I'm just going to call Easy Elegance or something. I haven't decided yet. But really pretty. And if you want some of these beads, I will go ahead and post them. And just as a note, if you don't have any 3x2s, I do have some. I don't have a ton of them, but I do have some in different colors. So, and I also have these beads in different colors, but you could also use probably a 4mm bicone on top of here. I don't see why not. Should work just fine. So if you have a 4mm bicone you want to put on there, that'll work really well too. You may even be able to use a 4x3 round instead of just a 3x2.5. You could also probably use a 4x3. You're going to get a little bit bolder look, but that might be pretty too. So you can modify these. You don't have to do it exactly like I did it, but that's what that looks like. And I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.